guys and girls, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another new customer. This is Sam's car, come all the way from up north, Lancashire to be exact. So we much appreciate him choosing us to carry out some mods on his car, quite humbled by that. We've been that busy and with other things going on, and Timmy's been busy as well. So this is the first opportunity we've had to sort of like talk about this one. So I've been stripping it down whilst we've been waiting for the opportunity. So you can see the whole front end's off it, everything's stripped. We'll talk about the engine in a sec. First I'll let you know what it's here for. So Sam contacted me, been having over a few months, we've been messaging, and he's been on the phone asking me a few questions. He's contacted a few other tuners, performance places, whatever you want to call them, about what he wants. Now this car runs, I think I'm right in saying, Timmy, ain't he? Am I? The Mount Tune MR230, which has got the changed cam timing. So let's talk about the engine side of it first. We just talked about the software that he had on with the 230. Now to be able to, we're doing other things on it anyway, so you got to strip it down. There's no other way of doing it. You can't mess around with the cams. It's just not the way to do it. You're taking a bit of a chance doing that. We're doing a timing belt kit, water pump, fan belt. We're putting RT330 on this. So the standard turbo is off it. As you can see, it's not there anymore. We'll show you that on the bench in a sec.
Yeah, there's a big hole there, isn't there?
There's a big hole there, mate. In that manifold's off. It just makes it easier to get the starter out, the alternator's off, and all that sort of stuff. I don't mess around trying to do things around parts, leave them in place. Just take it off. It just doesn't take that much longer. In the long run, it's quicker because you've got easier access. The starter is out of this one because to do this properly, you have to have the proper tools, which means you have to have the tool to lock in the front cams, you have to have the plate to lock in the rear of the cams. So that is all set. Locking pin in the crank for the crank, which is down the back of the block here. Yeah. The one down here, Timmy, that's
yeah,
the fly.
We were talking about this one off camera, weren't we?
Yeah, but that's the flywheel locking tool.
I'll just try and come around.
Now the reason for that,
it's that black one down there, guys.
These don't have a keyway on the pulley, on the bottom pulley. Neither does any of the Focus 2.3. Not a very good design. I don't like it. I prefer old school keyway. So it's like a compression fit when the bolt grabs, then the pulley grabs the crank and holds it. It's one of them in it where it's like, is it going to be tight enough? So the reason for the flywheel locking tool is purely for that bottom pulley. So that's locked in, the pins in the crank, the cams are locked in, nothing can go anywhere. You can't move it, anti-clockwise. Well, you shouldn't move the engine back anti-clockwise anyway. Anti-clockwise or clockwise, you can't. It's solid. That reason for that is so that we can do the bottom pulley up. Now the bottom pulley, through memory, I think it's like, I don't know, is it like 100 Newton meters, and then you've got to go 90 degrees with a breaker bar. You try doing that, right? That is like, when you're doing it, it's like, it's like you think something's going to snap.
Yeah.
But that's what they say. So that's what you got to carry out. That's what Ford say. You can't do that without locking that. You try doing that without having it locked like that, you won't be able to do it. So that's the reason. So RT330, he managed to get himself, which is quite hard. They're quite hard to get hold of. Revo don't supply the RT330 turbo anymore. Software, we talked about this before, of course, because as a dealer like I am, I'm still able to offer the software. He's managed to get himself an RT330 the turbo kit. The turbo had not done a lot of miles, which we have, which we'll show you in a sec. And then I'll install that, hence why it's all ripped out. It's easier because you have to get all the front end off because it's having an intercooler, and then I can get all access to that, all on, and then start building it all back, come from the back and then build it back to the front. He's got an SPS switch as well, which is really good. We're putting a oil catch can, Mission oil catch can, baffled catch can, same as what we run on yours, Timmy.
Yes,
it's been modified slightly now, so it's a bit of an evolution of that. It's slightly different on the bracket, and it comes with black hoses now. We'll show you all that. when we get that unboxed, we'll lay it on the bench. Same as the intercooler. He's got himself a Pro Alloy curved intercooler, which is
Nice, yeah.
which is the one that I recommended that he go for. It will do exactly what it needs to do with regards to the RT330. No problem. It's keeping the stock log manifold at the moment. You know, there's a lot of cost involved, so maybe that later on down the line you'll be looking at maybe one of our Simpson ones.
Yeah.
Other things we're doing, as you can see here, look, the shifter bracket. There's rubber brushes on there, 6 there. So we've got. He's supplied us with some blue anodized billet ones, which we'll show you in a minute. We'll swap them over. That's easy. It just reduces the movement on the brackets, because every time that's moving around, they're rubber.
Yeah.
It'll deteriorate over a period of time, like any brush will, and it will just start moving around.
And like we say to people, you know, when a car's in the garage like this, if we spot things and what the opportunities here, we'll recommend.
Yeah, well, it's stripped up. It makes sense to do it while it's stripped. It's,
absolutely.
It's straightforward, isn't it? All that's going to do is just, potentially eliminate movement down there. Same as on what we done on Tamas's Mark III Focus RS on the stick.
Yes.
Base for the gear shift stick. They're rubber. We changed them for billet ones, and it just eliminates movement. That's all. That's really okay. Obviously, we're going to fully service it as well. We'll put the LTR cooler running plugs, which we run in all the EcoBoost. Really, we'll just we'll gap them up. They'll be in there. He's already got the PowerFlex transmission uprated mount there. Look,
yeah, you can
he's got
see
it
that
on the engine mount as well, which is, you can't see, but there's lots of bits and pieces on the floor at the moment. So new water pump, all supplied by Sam from his local Ford store. Water pump, fan boat, cam boat. We'll show you all that in a minute. And you, like I said before, look, this is it's a floating crank. Look, see that?
Yeah.
So it doesn't make no odds where that is. You can just time it all up, pull the pin, bang, done. That's it. And then when you put the crank pulley on, like I said, it grabs it and it don't go anywhere. Well, as long as you've got it pinned up and you've got it torqued up to manufacturer specifications, you got nothing to worry about.
It just makes the whole job a lot easier, doesn't it?
You've got to have the tools to do it. If you haven't got the tools to do it, don't even bother attempting it, because you'll come unstuck. If you remember Carlos' white cracking little SD 180 we had in here a few weeks back, that was for our big brake kit all the way round.
Just to say on that, Martin, quickly, bear with us, viewers, because there are videos coming out.
There are, and I think he's sort of like realised the potential of those brakes already, doing his B-road drives on the way home up in Dorset, and I think he's got a track day booked for Castle Coombe.
Yeah, I think,
of the month. Is it next week?
I think is it the end of this month, or is it the start of August? It's coming up. It's in a couple of weeks.
No, I think it's what we on. It might be Monday. I think I'm sure it's the 14th. Whatever the next one is at Castle.
It might be next week then. Yeah,
I think it's next week.
We'll find out for that, guys. And
so
on social media as well. Yeah,
he'll give us a lot of feedback on what he thinks of the brakes and that. He's going to bit of a shock coming to him, that's for sure. But so the brakes that we took off Carlos, which were the same as what we ran on the little beast, which is the Revo Alcon 4-pot mono caliper in red, 332mm disc, hook groove style on the pattern, DS 2500 pads. So we're gonna, that's a cast caliper as well. He's upgraded to our brakes, so those he's done a deal with Carlo on them, so they're going to be fitted onto this. So he's got standard brakes at the moment, well, standard calipers. He's got uprated discs and pads, which helps, but they're still useless all round really. So it doesn't. It have an RT330 power.
Well, we've proven that with hard going on track, haven't we?
Yeah, we've tested all of it. We tested the standard brakes, which you might as well just not bother going on track with them. That's my opinion. Don't believe me? Ask Rich. He'll tell you.
Yeah, he cooked them in about 2 laps, didn't he?
2 laps, they were on fire.
Yeah.
So it's pointless. He just threw me the keys and said, "You might as well park that up, mate, because I'll end up in the kitty litter."
Yeah.
No point. Then we tried put the big brakes on the front, which is we just talked about, the Alcon ones, absolutely fine, no problems at all with that. Really good brakes, and we beefed up the rears a bit, just put DS 2500 pads in the rear, braided lines and fluid and all that sort of nonsense, and that made a huge improvement. that's what he's going to have basically. So we're going to put DS2500 pads in the rear. He's already got the braided lines. We'll pump it through with decent brake fluid, higher spec, probably 5.1. Don't need to go to the race stuff in this. And then you'll find then he'll have the brakes to match the power. It's really important. You know, it's already having loads of power, but you've got to be able to stop the car. And if he's driving quickly on the B roads, you know, these younger guys like to get on it, then he's make him unstuck and end up on his roof. Yeah.
I mean, for me, owning the brakes, fantastic upgrades.
Yeah, it is,
they really give you full confidence in any conditions.
But the main thing is we tested it. So we tested that around Donington, absolutely fine, no problem with that. And then my brakes is a completely different experience. So we tested just my front brakes with the same rears at Donington again, absolutely fine. Just going up a level every time. And then we tested obviously the setup that you've got, Timmy, and that we had on Little Bees and that our customers are running around on, and that is the Phil Monty really, and that is insane. But what he's having done, superb upgrade. Can't recommend that enough. Why wouldn't you? And
and a great compliment to the power he's now running.
Yeah, and also, if an opportunity arises like that to grab a set of Revo Alcon brakes for the front of one of these. We've just had the discs, which was in the previous video. We had the discs. They were re-skimmed by high spec. They came back like new. We put a fresh set of DS2500 pads in, which are not cheap. You're talking more than I don't know what they are. Over 250 quid, something like that, maybe a bit more. So he's got all them. They've had little use, and he's ready to go.
So we're at the rear of the car now, guys, and a few bits to show you on the bench and on the floor here. Yeah. So joining Martin again.
So that's the brakes. The calipers are bubble wrapped and boxed up, but that's the discs. The brackets and so those bolts. There's not much. They always do it for they're exposed to the elements, but they'll be all wire wheeled and cleaned up, and then we'll repaint them. Give them a few coats of the old satin black, just to make them look a bit newy. All the calipers will be cleaned up. The discs will be cleaned up. They're pretty. The bells are pretty good. All be cleaned up. Brackets will all be cleaned up. To the best that you can get it, to be honest. So that's that side of it. That's the spare log manifold, which comes with the RT330, which we'll show you in a sec. Now so on the pipelet, that bracket's come off. I mean, there's one there. That's just an extra support one. And because it had ripped out, what somebody had done is they had just welded a square patch in there, similar to that, but it was all proud, and they'd welded a mild. Now this is stainless. They welded a mild steel patch on it, which is like.
Couldn't believe it.
It's we see all sorts, don't we? Yeah. There's just no way, just no way. But that's people do what they do, don't they? So that was whipped down to Julian down Proform, our one of our technical partners,
as we're calling him. Yeah.
So he's cut that out and done it properly. So he's welded a proper stainless steel patch in there.
Nice.
All right. As you can see that the welding or whatever. Yeah. Now the Sport Cat, also the bracket is fractured around there, and there was fracture cracks up around here, around the lambda boss, and down there. So it's all little things. I mean, Sam didn't know that. I just pointed it out to him when I took it down and said, "Oh right, oh dear."
And to be fair to him, I mean, it's not something you'd really easily be able to spot.
But that's all been repaired now, so I'm quite happy with that. That's fine. Little things like that as we go. We're not going to just.
Oh, absolutely not. No, like I said, guys, as the car is worked on and we spot things, we'll correct them.
It's pointed out. It's pointed out to the customer. They're made aware of it, and then they decide what they want to do.
Yeah.
If he said, "Can you leave that?" Yeah, that's fine. I'd make a note of it, but it wouldn't be the right thing to do, would it?
No. We're at the bench here now.
We are. So this is your standard turbo. He's got the uprated pipe there, look.
Yep.
Yeah. Elbow, feed.
Elbow,
yeah. That's to go with. I suppose that's that because he's got the mount tune crossover, which that's off the car at the moment. GFB. Uprated. Diverter,
yeah.
So we'll swap that over onto the RT330 turbo. We got a fog light there to fit in there because the other one, the usual thing, the seal's gone, it's condensated. This is all the pipe work that he's got with the RT330.
Yeah.
RT330 turbo. You've seen, many of you have seen on that. Superb bit of engineering made by Turbo Technics.
Yeah.
Exclusively for Revo. We can't really, nothing negative to say on that, but you know, it's he's gonna have a bit of a shock coming to him going from that to an RT330.
Absolutely will.
It's going to be like day and night.
Yeah, it will be.
And the way that it, you know, the way it produces the power on that particular turbo, and the way that I drove it, and the way that it puts the power down, it's more upper end. I think that's why they've done this 230, more, you know, upper end power, but completely different experience than what he's going to get with this, as you can see, as RC330, like yourself,
yeah,
will vouch for. So cam belt, all genuine forward, fan belt, tensioner, water pump was on there, but that's on the car. You've seen that. New bottom crank pulley bolt, which I'm sure lots of people don't bother with. They just use the old one. Oh, that looks all right. Nah, throw it in the bin.
I just don't understand it.
Replace
Well, the opportunity's there. Why wouldn't you replace it?
Yeah, but this, some people don't know, Timmy, do they?
Yeah.
Standard intercooler, and then you've got the mount tune, centre and rear, which will be going back on, obviously. Yeah. So lots to do on this one. We've got rear upper isolators to do. It's got the standard ones. They're gash.
Well,
they just end up crumbling away, and then you got, you know, the top of the coil spring contact to the chassis, banging around. Not good.
I think I've pretty much guessed that every time you have a standard ST180 coming in for an MOT and you check them, they've always disintegrated, haven't they?
They have, yeah. So it makes sense just to.
The amount of times they need.
Yeah,
to
but even on the standard cars, you know, I just for the extra. I mean, yeah, they're quite a bit more expensive for the Powerflex ones are probably like 60 quid a pair or something like that, I think, from memory. Whereas like the standard ones are probably 30 quid for a pair. You fit and forget. You put the Powerflex ones on it, you ain't got to worry about them. The TRS, you know, polyurethane. It's not gonna. You're not gonna have that issue. But apart from that, there's, like I said, we've got the oil cooler. The oil catch cam, which will once we get all this fitted up, we'll then present it on the bench. Intercooler,
yeah,
curved one, doesn't want a logo on it, great, wants to keep it all black and plain, no problem, customer's choice, we always give them that choice, and then we'll start putting it all back together, and he'll have a fantastic experience. The good thing is when he comes down to get it, I'll do some miles anyway when it's done, just to make sure it's right. I won't let him have the car back until I'm 100% happy with it, like every customer. It's not it's not an engine rebuild or anything like that, it's just a routine, like sort the timing out, time about kit, water pump and all this sort of stuff. Turbo, well, that turbo's been run already, so we will put some turbo feed oil through and just obviously just prime it up again.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that the actuator is set correctly. That's not a problem. So it's not it's not like Phil's Mark III Focus RS when it's a complete fresh build or whatever. It's not about that. Same with Robert's Mark III. It's not about, you know, we're not. That was a bit more because we took the head off, but this is more routine stuff.
But as always, things have to be done
equally
properly.
Yeah,
and they have to be done correctly.
It does.
As we've said on other videos, guys, Martin doesn't even have time to cut his hair at the moment.
I don't have time to cut my hair. No, so I'm going to be known as that.
The hairdressers have reopened, but he doesn't have time.
I'm going to be known as that one down in the West Country, the one with the scruffy hair.
Scruffy hair. Yeah.
But it gets people talking, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
So I think that's about as far as we can go at the moment with Sam's and what we're doing on that. Oh, the other thing is we've got to do, he's got 20mm wheel spacers on it. Now he was going to need, because he's got ST200 wheels, alright, which is the same offset as, so we got 4108. It'll be 47, so ET47 the standard wheel is on a Fiesta, which is the same on the ST200. It makes no odds, it's the same. So you're going to need to run, he's running 20mm spacers. You need to run a minimum of a 20mm really to clear the for the Revo brakes on the front. But he's got the bolt on ones, so until we test fit the fronts, we might be able to reuse the front 20mm bolt on spacer. If not, then we might have to if it doesn't need 20. We don't need to be only run that we need to run, but equally you need to have that correct air gap around it for expansion as well, because obviously when it gets hot, it grows a little bit. You need to have like a minimum of like 2 mil air gap. Really, you get more than that around with a Revo anyway. But we'll worry about that later. So I think that's about it for this one, Timmy.
Yeah, it's
for the moment.
End of this video for the moment. We'll update you more on this car as more parts come in. But yes, make sure you're following our social media for more updates as well, like Instagram and Facebook on this one, and other cars of course as well.
That's right, and we'll be back soon with more info.
Yeah, thanks Martin, and as always guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you're notified on all new videos. And if you like this, if you want to see more Fast Forward content, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.